There's someone here who was with her at the Oleo strike, who was a founder of one of the very important movements in the struggle against the Vietnam War. And I want to reserve him for a little later. So I want to bring people up. I'll just start a little across the room, except I'm reserving Josh Gould. And I want to tell you what the newspapers say. They say, Josh Gould was director of the Oleo strike, and J. Lockard, a Radcliffe dropout, worked with him. This is, it's a little, I want to bring it up because of the whole question of the role and importance of women and how that importance gets downplayed. But let us have Fred, come on up. Yes, you, Fred. You just hold that, don't touch that button, and hold it close to your mouth. Okay. All right.
Hold it closer to your mouth. Yeah.
I spent over a decade working with, and I'm going to call her Jack. That's how I knew her. On the Prisoners Revolutionary Literature Fund, PRLF. Aside from mailing out a newsletter every 2 weeks, as well as other revolutionary literature, upon requests to over 800 prisoners at both federal prisons and state prisons across the U.S., together, we both pore over the letters we received and then figure out how to respond and how else we could meet their political needs and necessities. Jackie had a lot of heart for these prisoners. She could see their humanity and the basis for most prisoners making major transformations in their thinking. Jackie had a habit of using 3 or 4 different magic markers to highlight the remarks of some of the more far-sighted prisoners. There would be a stack of letters from prisoners on the kitchen table that became works of art. One letter in particular came from a prisoner in Texas who was serving a mandatory life sentence. He was someone who had been deep into the gang life but had become hooked on the articles that were drawn from the Revolution newspaper. One of his letters expressed a deep frustration over the fact that some of his fellow prisoners loved the articles that exposed police murders and other articles calling out national oppression, but they expressed little or no enthusiasm around the woman question, the oppression of women. So Jackie wrote him back to encourage him to keep struggling with his cellmates over the woman question, but to also convey the understanding that the newsletter we were sending him was about the emancipation of all humanity. Jackie has continued volunteering, volunteering while she was over at the Symphony Senior Living Facility over in Lincoln Park. Jackie will be greatly missed by all of us working with PRLF.
I think the next person I see going this way is Jay. Another Jay. I won't say what the other name is.
Yeah, I never had a chance to work closely with Jay, but we crossed paths a couple of times that I think verify, confirm what other people have said. I happened to go to Atlanta in 1982 as part of the legal team. And lo and behold, 50 people got busted on one truck in one day. And then the Atlanta police were just out to get us for May Day. And Jackie just stood out as someone who was, I guess one word, she was just courageous. And the more I got to know her, I think it was that SNCC training, that going in at that age and just confronting what was needed and standing with it in the face of, Selma, right? So she was, and she was always alert. She was always questioning. And that experience in the legal system she put to good use. So it was great. And what people were saying about her curiosity. Courage, curiosity. She was not someone who only read the news. She was always talking about not just a play, a novel, some new jazz she'd heard. Just really awake to all of these expressions, which is very, it made it fun to just be around her. And I'm really happy to hear that someone from Oleo Strut is here. The first project I ever worked on was a GI coffee house. And we looked, Oleo Strut people, in that movement, that was, I don't know an analogy, that was like the Vatican of GI resistance. They were the inventors, they were the model, they were what we looked up to. And of course back then you didn't just call people up, there was no internet or whatever. Some people would drive to go see what they were doing, and that's why we had an underground GI coffee house. And courage was also a word in that environment. Our coffee house had to be sandbagged, we had to have giant covers over the windows, got attacked any number of times, including with guns and attempted arson. The military did not like this movement at all, and they used all kinds of overt and covert means to try to squash it, and they didn't succeed. That was, of course, the Vietnamese people defeated the U.S. in Vietnam, and the inspiration of the Black Liberation Movement really helped to undermine the imperialist, racist mentality. I learned so much. I was 19 years old when we were doing this, about how the Army indoctrinated, most of the GIs are 19 or 20 years old too, always calling the Vietnamese people gooks. And horrendous cartoons of them. So going up against all of that, the GI resistance with an active military played a tremendous role in further undermining and creating what I think it was George Bush the first called his role as president in the Iraq War was to overcome the Vietnam generation. Hell no. Never succeeded with Jackie, and I just want to thank Nana for organizing this tribute to her. It's really beautiful. Thank you.
I think Marge coming across here, wait, hold up, is the next speaker. I want to say in terms of her love of theater and her ability to get in to see any play, when I actually lived with Jackie in Atlanta, and if you know, us political people did a lot of work trying to not do work. Trying to make as much money as we could in as little time as possible so we could be in the street as much as possible. And Jackie got a gig doing phone sales for the Alliance Theater.
No.
Which theater?
Academy Theater.
Academy Theater. The Academy Theater. Thank you. We worked there under Jackie selling subscriptions. And this was one of her ways of getting in to see theater. But it was a great opportunity, make some money in not too much time. So I'm going to bring up Marge. I don't know what she's going to say, but I know she also did phone sales.
Absolutely. I worked with Jackie on PRLF, on fundraising mainly, and I was a professional fundraiser, and I thought I knew everything about fundraising, but Jackie was very strong on donors were not to be treated just as deep pockets, but as an important part of the revolution, and to be brought in and their participation in the revolution deepened. So I learned a lot from her. But I actually first met Jackie in 1972. Our paths crossed at a conference in Atlanta. It was, I believe, anti-imperialist women's conference. There were people from the Great Speckled Bird, the great underground newspaper in Atlanta, that were there. And I think both of us at the time, we were at a kind of crossroads, young, revolutionary-minded women, and we were searching for something to be part of that could free, liberate, emancipate humanity. And the next time I saw Jackie was when I moved to Chicago, and we were working to get the works of Bob Avakian and other revolutionary literature to prisoners, and to popularize their very, very deep engagement with Bob Avakian and revolutionary theory out into the world, and to raise funds to do that. And I want to read a poem to our generation. Today, August 9th, is actually the anniversary of the bombing of Nagasaki. And our generation was born in the aftermath of Hiroshima, Nagasaki. This is a poem called Aftermath. To you born in the aftermath of the Second World War, the after ash of the Holocaust, the after blast of Hiroshima, I see baby pictures of you with your mamas, but you could have been a puff of smoke up the chimney at Auschwitz or Treblinka, or the shadow of a child on the sidewalk in Nagasaki or Hiroshima. Your parents were strivers and dreamers. They wanted the best for their sons and daughters, but were themselves broken, trapped by the sick, inhuman, dog-eat-dog society, anti-woman, anti-Semitic, anti-black, anti-joy at the start of the American century. And despite the soothing voice of Perry Como, there was no putting their pieces back together happily. Your formative years were the 60s, never again for anyone. Strappy, red-hot anger in multiple directions was etched on your hearts, tattooed on your psyches. You fought passionately, so war and genocide, inequality and oppression would end up on the crap heap of history. Do not go gently into that good night without giving your all to finish the fight for a world without the horrors, the atrocities that carved you.
Jackie, está presente. Viva! Está presente.
Thank you very much, Marge. Okay, proceeding across, I'm going to bring up Mary Ann. Jay was with us on our first date, she says.
Uh-oh, I pushed the button. That's what happens when you answer the phone. Well, I met Jay I met Jay in the summer of 1980 when I moved to Atlanta to work with breadcrumbs there. And it wasn't very long after that Jay and I became roommates, and we were roommates until she moved here. So it's been kind of a long time together.
Right there.
Okay. So good part of that time was, I think, the heaviest time that I've ever been through, and that was when all those kids were getting murdered and left mutilated and left on the side of rivers and out in the woods. And, there were 56 in the final count, which we never had an official one, but it's kind of a blur. The details. I can't really tell you stories from the things we did then, but it was a collective effort for me. It was about really, really learning how to be a revolutionary, how to work to pull people forward, how to really take apart and analyze what was going on. And Jay was such a big part of that. But she was also really fun. One time, she was telling me that her official name was Janet Francis. And she goes, as soon as she said her name, she goes, "Ooh, saddle shoes." Then she, Jay made her bed every day. She was a fairly neat person, but she always left her closet door open. And I asked her one time why, and she said, "Well, because it's so colorful." I've never met anybody else who considered their clothing part of the decor. Although it was colorful, I have to say. She, as someone else mentioned, the one that was Sid read, she had a very gusty belch. And she would look really pleased with herself afterwards. She also snorted when she took was Tiffins, And the other thing she did, which I don't think I can do very well, but I'm going to have to do it for you, is she would laugh. She would go, she was very handy with a friendly insult. Like one time I told her I thought of myself as a mellow person, and she goes, "Yeah, mellow like porcupine." Or when I put on mascara, which I ordinarily didn't wear, I put on mascara because I was going to a job interview. She called me Sparkle Clinton. But she reserved her really good insults for, the other side. She would not hesitate to call a pig or a politician or whoever an egg-sucking dog. Jay stood up for us at our wedding, and she even wore a dress.
All right. I believe you all have something to say. Yes. These are our treasured guests from the South.
Greetings, everyone. It's so great to see everyone here. Everybody who loved my Jay. I can only speak about Jay, which in my mind and in my heart, I always feel like she will be Aunt Jay. Because she was just that close to me as a child, very small child, and just the memories of seeing her with my aunt Billy and seeing her with my mom Dot. It would just be the three of them, whether they would be out in the backyard, over the grill cooking, standing in the kitchen. They could be cleaning some collard greens. They could be doing just a little bit of anything. Or just sitting on the front porch on the steps, having a beer. Just being sisters. And that was the most humbling thing to me as a child. Because not knowing, when I was only about 5, 6, 7 years old, that this incredibly big, brown-eyed woman with the brown flowing hair, who was always so kind to me, so very kind, never spoke a harsh word to me. She chastised me, but it was with such love. I never knew that she could be that gentle. But I also didn't know she also had another very, very aggressive side that needed to be, which I'm thankful to learn that as well. But my Aunt Jay, I'm so thankful that our stars crossed. And I'm so thankful that I was born at such a time to be able to experience just her essence. Just to be in her essence, because it was so strong. Loving, warm, powerful. She taught me the power of quietness as a child. She taught me the power of being still, because my Aunt Billy was the total opposite. So I didn't get all of that from her. I got most of it from my Aunt Jay. But I'm just thankful and I am grateful. I'm thankful that you guys looked out for her. I'm grateful that she had her own tribe. Yeah. I'm grateful for that. Because the tribe is one of those things that we all need. So few of us, shall I say, don't realize that. So when you find your tribe, cherish them. Stay with them. Listen to them. Their fight is your fight. We're all in this thing together. And we have to learn that when we see any injustice being done, it's not just being done to one of us, it's being done to all of us. Mm-hmm. It's important for each and every soul to speak out, be heard. Don't fear the consequences. Fear the consequence when nothing's being said. Stand strong, everybody. Aunt Jay would want us to love one another. And keep on with the fight, because we still have a fight on our hands. That's right. And so everyone keep your head lifted, stay with your tribe, and keep focused. Thank you so much.